Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fist 4, the Masterclass on plastic. If you all remember, Fist 1, it was plastic was the topic. This is where Bill Barnett came out with the Plastic Sucks t-shirt. This is where the movement was born. And it's my pleasure to introduce the session to show how this has evolved in the CAP-C project for plastic reduction in Phuket with a multi-stakeholder collaboration, a lot of entities, a lot of experts, and a lot of collaboration, because that's really what it takes. And that's what we learned at Fist 1, is everybody needs to get together, find solutions, and then work collectively on them. And so my pleasure to hear about the great work the CAP-C is doing right now.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session. My name is Napaporn, or just call me Sherry, and I am the advisor and national coordinator at GIZ. Today, we are presenting Phuket Hotel Team Ups and Aim High to Reduce Plastic Use, presented by 5 speakers from Thailand Environment Institute, GIZ, hotel expert, and young entrepreneurs. In this session, you will learn about circular economy for plastic towards the Thailand's BCG model, how the German government is supporting Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia to prevent a single-use plastic, what opportunity for hotel managers to reduce a single-use plastic. Well, I think that you are excited to hear more from our speakers. Let me invite Dr. Wijarn Simachaya, the President of Thailand Environment Institute and Chairman of the Circular Economy Subcommittee under the BCG Committee to speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to join the FIST online event to share the subject on creating a circular economy for plastic toward the Thailand BCG economy model today. The outline of my presentation will cover the status of waste management in Thailand, Thailand BCG model, circular economy, and big rock project, especially the circular economy in the country. Let's see this from the Pollution Control Department report. Thailand generate municipal solid waste around 29 million tons a year, consists of 2 million tons of plastic waste. 44% of waste were segregated and enabled to recycle, including organic waste. 34% properly disposed mostly to landfill, and another 22% in appropriate dispose of waste. The component of and characteristic of waste are mostly organic at 64%, followed by plastic, paper, and other. In 2018, Thailand domestic production of plastic accounted for over 6 million tons. Plastic waste is an important environmental issue in Thailand and ASEAN region. Thailand, among 5 ASEAN countries, play a top contributor to plastic waste contamination into the ocean. Thailand produces 2 million tons of plastic waste annually, but only 0.5 million tons, or 25% of plastic waste can be recycled, and another 75% go to landfill, open dump site, and break into the environment, mostly plastic bag. Over 10 years, the waste generation rate has been increased by 4 million tons in the country. There are currently 2,273 waste management facilities operating in the country, mostly operated by government and or local authority at about 90% and another 10% by private sector. During the COVID-19 pandemic, plastic waste was increasing over 15%, but in Bangkok Metropolitan Administration and other big city in the country, it's the percentage quite high. In Bangkok, over 60% from food delivery activity and online packaging is food order produce at least 7 items of plastic waste. You can take a look here. Thailand has national policy and action plan including the major 4 aspects. The first one is waste generation and collection system with cover TR, reuse and recycle application, and also increasing efficiency, waste separation and correction. The second one is the waste recovery and disposal, covering the improvement of waste disposal site and waste to energy, RDA, for example. The third one is law and regulation development, and the fourth one is the public involvement. Next, I would like to talk about BCG. It's a new economic model as a new national agenda for the country. Why we need BCG? The developed country had moved forward to net zero emission target and 100% of clean technology like the USA and the European Green Deal also set the target of net zero emission by 2050. Japan also announced Japan Green Growth Strategy with neutrality by 2050. Many countries around the world have also set the target either net zero emission or carbon neutrality. Some countries are quite strict with the target before, such as Scandinavian community at the early stage by 2035 to 2040. Thailand also had set the target for carbon neutrality by 2065 to 2070. Thailand has set the national determined contribution or NDC based on Paris Agreement of reducing greenhouse gas emission by 20 to 29 by 2030, covering 4 sectors, including 118 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent for the energy sector, followed by 35.4 ton of transportation sector, 2.2 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent from industrial sector, and 1.5 million ton equivalent from waste sector. Let's move to BCG new economy model. Thai government strong promote a new economic model known as BCG. BCG model is an economic for sustainable development, while B stands for bioeconomy, C stands for circular economy, and G stands for green economy. BCG had been approved by the cabinet on January 29 this year. BCG economic model is implemented as a post-COVID-19 based on the principle of sufficient economy of the late King Ramanai and support sustainable development goal. The major area cover food security, health security, energy security, employment security, and sustainable of natural resources and environment. For BCG driving different organizations. There are 3 levels of committee. BCG administration committee chaired by the Prime Minister. The different committees chaired by the Ministry of Higher Education and Research and Innovation, and 11 subcommittee related to various BCG target. I myself also serve as chairman of a circular economy subcommittee. The country will move from an unstable linear economy to a more sustainable circular economy with transfer from take, make, and dispose of linear economy to make use return of circular economy model. The energy sources will also move from fossil based to renewable source of energy. This slide shows the development of circular economy goes from linear economy to recycle economy, then circular economy. Circular economy context including reduce environmental footprint like a green product, minimize of waste by recycle waste and reuse resources, reduce resources dependency, and generate increased income with green job creation as well. Why we need a circular economy? The country is facing with resource scarcity, and also we are facing with the severity of pollution and emission of greenhouse gas. Circular economy will benefit support sustainable development, maximizing resource efficiency and reducing pollution as well as minimizing global climate change impact. This also will create a new economic opportunity in line with the national policy. The driving mechanism of circular economy in BCG model are 3C approach, including C1 is the closing loop with the goal at the reduction of one inflow amount of current natural resources consumption. C2 is creating a new economic goal as about 1% of GDP increasing within 10 years. And C3 is combating climate change and pollution problem. Target sector that we are select in implementing circular economy in Thailand are plastic waste, food waste, and food slot from agriculture and food industry and construction sector with consume lot of natural resources. From plastic waste, we are implementing the closed loop system that support national roadmap on plastic waste management. This implement closely with our stakeholders. We set the milestone to recycle plastic such as PET, PE, PPP plastic at 100% by 2030. This will impact the reduction of energy consumption, resource consumption, greenhouse gas emission, pollution problem, and also income generation. The Federation of Thai Industry and Thai Business Council for Sustainable Development signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Development of PPP Plastic or Public-Private Partnership for Sustainable Plastic and Waste Management at the World Environmental Day on the June the 5th, 2018. The component of PPP Plastic includes more than 40 organizations from association, organization, government sector, private sector, international organization, and educational institution. For the deploy project, for example, named Magic Handbone, we are creating a plastic waste collection system of the 12 film and packaging plastic. Currently, we collect plastic waste as about 18,000 kilogram. The value of plastic is 5 baht per kilogram, so that this amount will go to marine life conservation program. During COVID-19 pandemic, our member PPP Plastic in Pharma company also used 80,000 post-consumer bottom recycle into 17,000 cover or PPP suit for 200 Thai hospital. PPP Plastic work to support policy, the roadmap on plastic waste management, and it associates action plan and to reduce marine plastic debris at 50% by 2027. There are 2 targets. The target one is reduce and replace some single-use plastic by using environmental friendly product. The target of single-use plastic are banned in 2019, including also degradable plastic, capsule for bottled drinking water, and microwave plastic, and single-use plastic with will ban in 2022, including styrofoam from food container, plastic straw, single-use plastic bag with thickness less than 36 micron, and single-use plastic less than 100 micron. Target to recycle plastic was apply the circular economy principle at 100% by 2027. Let's move to the big block. As I mentioned earlier, we set the target circular economy into closing the loops, C2 creating a new economy growth, and C3 is combating climate change and pollution reduction. There are 3 indicators in the plan. Especially the first one is reduce national resources consumption at 25% within 2027, and created investment opportunity for the employment within a new model, resulting 1% by 2027, and reduce greenhouse gas emission at least 1 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent by 2027. The circular economy action plan on the way of the development already approved by the BCG committee, including the investment opportunity, market creation, technology and innovation development, sharing platform, management mechanism, ecosystem, and regulation, as well as the citizen, CE citizen and awareness raising. For the Big Rock project, I can show you on the project that we call Rayong Less Waste. PP Plastic have been implement a circular economy on waste management in Rayong province that supported by AEPW, government and private sector. The project also aims to expand community and local waste management. The model with circular economy in Rayong, covering 8 local authority in the province to generate income, career, better quality of life, and reduce the amount of plastic waste go to landfill and incineration. The Rayong model is implementing for the whole province. The work plan including waste incineration, waste collection, waste segregation, and final disposal. The clean plastic waste go to recycle and upcycle, by the contaminated plastic will go to RDF and power generation. This is show the flow chart of the business model for the Rayong province. The chart is implementing a pilot area also in the community level within the 522 household. Waste generation is about 40 tons a month. Segregation of waste at sort is the principle that we apply in the community level. The project also developed a manual for waste management at the community level. If you are interested, you can download from the website. The driving mechanism of BCG circular economy, as I mentioned earlier, is based on a co-benefit of key projects development pilot model such as plastic waste. The second one is the develop circular economy plan. The third one is the private partnership and build up the circular economy society and citizen. And also the last one is the create circular economy market. That is this conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Next speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Christopher Brick, Project Lead of the Collaborative Action for Single-Use Plastic Prevention in Southeast Asia to speak.
Thank you very much, Cherry, for the introduction, and welcome everybody also from my side. My name is Christopher Brick. I'm with the German development agency GIZ, and I'm heading the project CUPC, which stands for Collaborative Actions on the Reduction of Single-Use Plastics in Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia. I want to give you a little bit of background about the project and about the rationale why we are doing all of this. Since you are a member of FIST and as an attendee of this event, you are already interested in sustainability. So this data may not be very new to you, but still, 8 to 12 million tons of plastic waste enter the ocean every year. And this creates a huge problem for marine ecosystems, but also for terrestrial ecosystems. And estimations say that if we continue like this, by 2050, there'll be more plastics in the ocean than fish. Now, this slide may be a little bit new for you because it shows that also the relationship between the climate crisis that we're in and the plastics crisis is very, very strong. It says that if we do business as usual by 2044, we will heat up this planet between 3 to 6 degrees warmer than it currently is. And even with all the targets that all the governments in the world have set, the nationally determined contributions, we will end up at 2 to 3 degrees warmer by 2044. So combined with circular economy and the NDCs, so a combined approach is really what is needed to address this issue. Without circular economy, we cannot reach the goals of keeping the climate below 2 degrees warmer than it currently is. And the problem why we are addressing this topic is the linear economic model that we are currently still operating in. That is that we take resources from the ground, we make products, and we dispose of them. To move to a more circular economy, a lot of different steps are necessary. And here I would like to just point out that the recycling rate that we currently have globally is 14%, and this is all the plastics that is being collected for recycling. 8% of that is actually downcycled, so things becoming like park benches or trash bins, and only 2% of the around 80 million tons of plastic that is produced each year is really recycled in the sense what we think about when we hear recycling, so that there is a new bottle made from the old bottle. That needs to change. So the ambition really is to move to a more circular economy. And a circular plastics economy, as outlined here in this graph by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, really has at its core a strong recycling value stream. So that means that the major materials that we are using to produce our products are actually recycled. They come from old materials that we recycle. And yes, mechanical recycling is a very important part of this, but there is another very important part that you see in the slide, and this is the reuse part. And this means that we need to keep products in the loop for longer and reuse them more often. And this brings me now to the CUP-C project. CUP-C is a regional project running until March 2023. We're implementing in Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and we are funded by the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, and Nuclear Safety. And the overall objective, or you could say approach, is of course the waste pyramid and the waste hierarchy that many of you will be familiar with. And you see here for an upstream circular economy, so for everything that happens before it actually reaches the consumer, we have the topics of prevention and preparing for reuse. And prevention is really the key part what CUP-C focuses on. So why is the upstream approach, why is prevention so important? It is important because it is the single most effective policy that policymakers, governments, but also you as hotel managers have to address the single-use plastics problem. You can see in this graph here that in a business as usual scenario, from 250 million metric tons of plastic per year that is globally produced, we're going to end up in 2040 with 400 million metric tons if we don't do anything. So prevention and reduction and also substitution to other materials, but prevention alone has the potential of 30% curbing that growth. That is the single largest wedge that we can actually achieve. So prevention is very important. Our project focuses on prevention and is, of course, in Thailand very much aligned with the Thai policies in this regard. And you have heard from the previous speaker, Dr. Wijarn, all about the plastics roadmap, and you will have also heard about the new BCG, Biocircular Green Economic Strategy, the new economic model. And this is where we, as CUP-C, as the project, intervene. And as the CUP-C project, this is where we intervene, where we contribute. We support the development of circular economy policies. We develop recycled content targets for certain products together with government, academia, and industry. We support the development of industrial standards, such as design for recycling, to make recycling easier. We develop technical inputs for circular packaging legislation. And in our pilot projects, such as in Phuket, we help to show how a single-use plastic-free new default could look like. And this is where you come in, as the hotel industry is such an important actor in Phuket and Thailand overall. What you do matters. What you do as the individual hotels, people notice. And you have a lot of power to help change this vessel towards a greener future. So in our pilot project in Phuket, we aim to, as I mentioned, to showcase a new default. And what we do is that on the one hand, we work with the municipality, we work with the local government authorities to help them identify good policies to reduce single-use plastics. But we also work together with the local businesses. We work together with restaurants and cafes, local markets and walking streets, shopping centers, and the hotel industry. And in our pilot project with now over 20 participating hotels, we hope to show what can be done on the level of the individual hotel to reduce single-use plastics. And we hope that we can create a space where hotels can learn from each other. Beyond the pilot project, which is so important to show how a different world is possible, we also work with the government in technical working groups, as I mentioned before, to develop new policies for circular economy. So very concretely on the Circular Economy Action Plan that the Thai Prime Minister just approved in July this year, we're now supporting this working group in detailing out what concretely can be done. We're working, for example, on concrete technical recommendations for a more circular packaging legislation. We are also developing recommendations for future economic, fiscal, and regulatory measures to reduce single-use plastics in a way that it is keeping jobs, producing new jobs, and being in a just transition manner. In Technical Working Group 2, we support the development of industrial standards such as design for recycling and advise on recycled content targets. We also develop guidance on the use of bio-based and biodegradable materials. And of course, for such a project, knowledge management, knowledge sharing, information sharing is key. And so we have produced a number of publications on some of these very technical but very important topics, such as recycled content targets, design for recycling, packaging classifications, life cycle assessments, which you can find on our project homepage. And also we organize dialogue series where people from the industry and from government come together and share their experiences in applying those policies for the reduction of single-use plastics. I want to thank you very much for your attention, and if you and your hotel wish to get involved or need further information, do feel free to send me an email. For now, I wish all of us a very inspiring event. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. And now, let me invite James McDougall, hotel management expert, to speak.
Thanks for that. I'm here to talk to you today about the CAPC pilot project for prevention of single-use plastic in Phuket. My name's Jane McDougall, and I'll be talking about the hotel sector for this project. I would like to tell you some of the key points of this pilot project, which we are hoping will be replicated in other parts of the world. So you can see from the graphic here that the majority of people participating in our survey are members of one of the two major hotel associations in Phuket, either Thai Hotel Association Southern Chapter or Phuket Hotels Association. 5% of the group are from independent organisations. And you can see here the names and the logos of the hotels that are participating. So I'd like to take you through our plan of action for this pilot project. We started off the project by meeting with the leaders of the two leading hotel associations that I've mentioned already. And we got their support in principle for this project, not just with their hotel members that were participating, but in general for the project. Then we organised a memorandum of understanding, and that is between both the hotels participating, the two hotel associations, as well as a number of other leaders, project leaders from GIZ and the Thailand Environment Institute, as well as local leaders from Phuket government. And this was signed on the 23rd of September, this memorandum of understanding. So what next? We had agreement in principle from the hotel associations. So then we started to survey hotels who would like to be involved in the project. And in the month of September, we surveyed hotels via the hotel associations and the Phuket Tourist Association, and we found 20 hotels that wanted to participate to reduce single-use plastic. Next, we organised to physically visit each hotel and do a survey. We had a questionnaire tool that we had developed that included a physical inspection as well as an inspection of one room and one restaurant. You have to appreciate that Phuket, as a result of COVID-19, many of their facilities were closed. So we focused on one restaurant at each hotel. What was in the survey? The Thai government had identified 7 particular pieces of single-use plastic, including plastic drinking water bottles, plastic cups, plastic straws, polystyrene boxes, and disposable lunch boxes that were plastic, as well as knives and forks, etc. And in addition to this, we also wanted to look at staff behaviour, staff bringing in plastic from the marketplace and having it in the hotel. We also wanted to look at supplier plastics. So we wanted to look at what the fruit delivery man was bringing into the hotel. And in addition to this, being very aware about COVID-19, we surveyed COVID-19 specific single-use plastic as well as plastics that had been reintroduced in response to COVID-19. So we surveyed each area, each hotel, one room in each place, the restaurant, and some other heart-of-house areas. Then we needed to gather baseline data. So we found out historically what that hotel's use of plastic was. We established areas where change could be made from the perspective of the project itself, as well as each individual property. We asked each hotel to identify 3 specific areas they wanted to focus on. We also wanted to find out what were the reasons for changing and not changing to alternatives, and what some of the obstacles might have been. And we wanted to highlight some of the great best practices we were observing through the survey. So our initial findings were that every hotel participating was very keen to make change with single-use plastic, and that most had already made some significant change. In total, we identified 59 single-use plastic items that could be targeted as items to make change, and we also noted that packaging was a big issue as well. So here I'm talking about things like we might have an environmentally friendly toothbrush, but it was packaged in a mixed paper-plastic container. So we also found these as observations. We asked hotels why they wanted to change. What were the reasons you want to change? And it stood out in our mind that, and in our survey, that environmental reasons were the single most overwhelming reason that hotels wanted to change. The second one was brand requirements. So a slightly smaller group said that they were making change because their hotel chain or their owning company or manager had said the brand is making changes along these guidelines. So we can assume this is as a response to customer requirements. And thirdly was economic advantage, which is a little surprising that hotels observed that they saved money by making a change to something that was an alternative to single-use plastic. We then looked at our in-room data. We found, as I said, 59 items in total that we could make some change. We did not find a significant amount of items in the room that were our 7 main target items, but the most prevalent in the room were shower cap. Every hotel had a plastic shower cap. Most hotels had cotton buds that had a plastic portion to them, dental kits, and of the big 7, we had 2 there, bin liners and plastic drinking water bottles, and we found 55% using bin liners, sometimes in the room, sometimes in the bathroom or the toilet, or all 3. And plastic water bottles were found in 20% of the rooms. In the restaurant, we found 18 items that were possible to change, and you can see that of our big 7, there were quite a few of them that are included there. The one for cup on the top was the plastic lid that food and beverage people were not able to find an alternative for. Plastic water bottles, plastic cups, cutlery, and further down the list we find some plastic straws, some foam lunchboxes, and plastic lunchboxes were included. So then, other data. We found that most hotels had made change in the past, but in the last 2 years, 10% of hotels had made some change. Staff behaviour was a significant opportunity for change. And supplier plastic was something that we felt this project can make a serious impact with. For COVID-19 specific plastics, we found that different hotels were doing different practices when it came to the COVID-19 specific ones, and all of them generally they thought that they were following the government rules, but most of them were doing very different things when it came to COVID-19 specific plastics. So obstacles to change from single use, what we found from hotels we surveyed that 38% of the hotels said there was no alternative or limited alternatives. So basically they couldn't find what they wanted to change to. The other two large areas were COVID-19 concerns. A lot of plastic was there because hotels believed that they needed to have it for customer confidence or because it was a government requirement. And the other equal second one was the high price of the alternative. So if one hotel wanted to replace a plastic straw, they might find that the alternative was 5 times the price to change. Plan of action. So what were we doing next? Next, we worked with the hotels to come up with 3 alternatives that were their personal priorities. And these were going to be combined with our project goals for hotels to work on. Behind the scenes, we've been looking at startups that we could use to provide alternatives that are affordable to these hotels. We've been working on supplier lists that will be a resource for all of these hotels and other hotels to use moving forward. And the third item we were looking at was developing best practice documents, because we want hotels to support what's happening with other hotels. So our best practice documents initially are going to be local, and later on they'll be global. Moving on from that, we want to progressively empower champions. The hotel champions were selected in each hotel by the general manager, so they've been personally selected by the top person in the hotel. We provide them a general education about single-use plastics, and we encourage the champion to become an expert. Many of them before have never worked with plastics. They don't know too much about plastics and the alternatives, so we want to build up their knowledge and understanding. And we've recently conducted a workshop to that effect, as part of this FIST event. In addition to that, we're developing Train the Trainer modules that we will be handing out and giving to each participating hotel for the champion to roll out within their entire staff at the hotel. So the project goals, we're focusing on prevention. We're focusing on problem solving and finding possible solutions. We want to get hotels and hotel champions to re-engineer, rethink what they're doing, repurpose what they're doing. So if they have a problem putting a straw into a glass, maybe they think at looking for a different kind of glass that doesn't need a straw for that drink. With regard to repurpose, they might have rice bags that are coming from the kitchen that they can use to help with beach cleaning. So we're also connecting hotel associations with each other, and we want them to reinforce our principles. We're getting hotels to make a pledge to remove single-use plastic and recruiting support from the local government and tourism organisations and entities. We've also got social media links that are connecting our champions together so they can share stories, share resources, share contacts. Each hotel will have data collection sheets tailored to their hotel, and we'll be doing a monthly check-in on them. So the next steps, just briefly, our training packages, rolling out the Train the Trainer, having recording systems in place, matching our hotels with startups and suppliers, and tracking our usage and any cost savings. As well as that, we'll be looking at our data at the end and finding out what progress we've made. So watch this space in 12 months. Thank you for joining us in our presentation this morning, and welcome to a plastic-free Phuket. I'd like to introduce our next speakers who are looking at alternatives from Global Shapers in Bangkok. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And now, I would like to invite our new generation of youth entrepreneurs who are from the volunteer network from the Global Shaper Bangkok to speak. JJ and Pete, let's begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're so honored to be speaking in front of you all today to present our single-use plastic-free catalog that we've proudly produced in close partnership with GIZ, Thailand Environmental Institute, and Phuket Municipality. My name is JJ Erpai-Boon, and I'll be presenting alongside my colleague from Global Shapers Bangkok, Pete Flintrop. So before we delve into the catalog, I'd like to first give a background of who we are as Global Shapers Bangkok. Global Shapers Bangkok is a group of young changemakers that have been convened by the World Economic Forum. We are 36 individuals who are passionate in creating positive change and sustainable impact across our communities, be that in Thailand, Southeast Asia, or beyond. We have done projects in mental health, wildlife conservation, financial literacy, COVID relief, blood donations, and now circular economy. We recognize that as impacts of climate change and environmental degradation are becoming more severe during these times, whether in the unhealthy levels of PM 2.5, the accumulation of microplastics inside fish, or the worst drought in 4 decades. We see that circular economy is now more important than ever in Thailand. So under the World Economic Forum's larger initiatives, they have committed to harnessing the potential of fourth industrial revolution technology, innovation, and smart policy through a global partnership called Scale 360 to support bottom-up circular innovation. So after a thorough and competitive selection process, 4 cities were selected from the 450 global shaper hubs around the world to pilot this project guided by the World Economic Forum. And Bangkok Hub was one of the 4 selected, along with Brussels, Mexico City, and Turin. So what have we done with this partnership in the past year? The selected cities utilize the World Economic Forum's unique tested methodology, which is the book that you see on the right here. It's the Scale 360 Circular Innovation Playbook that outlines different ways we can foster circular innovation at the local and grassroots level. So as we looked at the playbook, we decided to channel the initiative through 3 sub-projects, which we call interventions. The first being City Hack, which is a youth-driven hackathon run in collaboration with the Thai government, organizations, and NGOs to foster circular systems thinking from a young age. And the second being the Clean Air Act, which is a campaign to collect 10,000 signatures towards a cleaner air in Thailand, to be presented to Thai Parliament to pass a bill. So all 10,000 signatures have been collected and are currently being mobilized to Thai Parliament. And then thirdly, our project being presented today, which is a single-use plastic-free project. It's an ecosystem mapping experiment to test the demand and supply of circular solutions in Thailand in regards to the plastic pollution crisis. So we'll talk more about that today. But first, of course, all this work cannot be possible without our dedicated group of volunteers at Global Shapers Bangkok. We have 23 volunteers passionate about environmental sustainability working across the 3 interventions. And all of our hard work culminated in the World Economic Forum's showcase this past summer called Cities Go Circular, convening thousands from across the world to hear about what we've been working on. And one of our project leads, Liepal, also SkyTub, presented on behalf of Global Shapers on our 3 interventions in Bangkok. And leading up to the presentation, we were keen to continue our advocacy for circular economy to different stakeholders. So we hosted webinars with the Davos Lab Dialogue and with venture capital firm Gobi Partners. We also published an article published on the website that got reposted and recycled across multiple publications. And aside from advocacy, we also hosted an in-person workshop with one of our key partners, GIZ's CAPC project, which is a project that we'll be presenting on today. So I'd like to pass off the mic to my colleague, Pete, to elaborate more on the Thailand plastic waste market landscape and our single-use plastic project solution. So Pete, floor is yours.
So yeah, thanks, JJ, for the overall introduction to the hub, what we do, what basically we're trying to achieve overall, or what we have already done, what we have already achieved. So I will talk a bit more in details about the one solution that links to this project, which is our single-use plastic-free catalog. But before coming to that, I will discuss a bit about the problem that we were faced with and that we wanted to contribute to. To overall the problem, which is one of the reasons why we're also here, is really single-use plastic as a global challenge, which is globally, but also regionally and locally, everywhere basically can be a big problem, which has implications simply on just waste management, but also on further, for example, food chains where microplastics coming from single-use plastic that is dumped in nature gets injected basically in our food. So it has a very large array of issues connected to single-use plastic that overall we're trying to tackle. So what we as a hub see as a solution to this problem is really circular economy, which focuses on keeping resources in the value chain as long as possible. So reusing things or putting things even at multi-use to reuse them indefinite, but also overall trying to produce as little garbage which is just dumped somewhere as possible. So we try to bring a circular economy to Thailand, but of course there are several problems that still persist, which is the main reason why circular economy is not yet a big topic here, which is number one, consumer expectations, so meaning simply that demand for convenience and prices is put over sustainability. Second thing is societal awareness, simply that circular economy is not yet that widely spread as a topic in Thailand as well. Third would be infrastructure and regulations, which means simply that infrastructure needed like waste collection, recycling, subsidies for circular economy are not yet existent or only in the infancy. And third thing would be a business model. So simply as circular economy is a new topic, business models are not yet proven. So getting investment into circular economy is also a big problem overall. So where we try to really contribute for bringing circular economy to Thailand with this project is problem number one and number two. And this is one I want to talk about today a bit more. So really we were working on this single-use plastic-free catalog that I will introduce later, which tries to solve a mismatch between supply and demand. So we can see there are solutions for single-use plastic replacement, and there's also a demand in certain instances already, but there seems to be a mismatch between those two instances. So our catalog really tries to provide three things. So first, there's reliable information about sustainable packaging that can replace single-use plastic. Second thing would be the environmental impact of these solutions. And third, also the price range, meaning everyone should be able to find something in their price range that can replace single-use plastic. So our solution is the single-use plastic-free catalog, which is basically a website which provides a lot of information, which is mainly intended for businesses, but also individuals. You can find like the suppliers that provide the sustainable packaging in Thailand, their contact details, their portfolio, their stories, why do they do this? But you can also provide more technical information, like what are the products, what are the cost for them, what are the quantities you need to order minimum, etc. So basically all of this information is aggregated into one website that you can access. So here in this QR code, I really encourage you to access it. Just scan the QR code, have a look at it for yourself. But I will also briefly go into it so I can present it to you so you can see what it all contains. So basically the first website of this single-use plastic free catalog, if you access it, is like an overview of what is the problem, what are the solutions, and also a kind of an overall FAQ, so you can use it as a knowledge base to learn a bit more about the topic, about the challenges, and also get overall informed to make reliable decisions when, for example, procuring sustainable packaging. Second thing would be really the catalog, which provides different solutions. So for sustainable products. So here, for example, sustainable packaging, it provides what is the price, what is any other information that you need to procuring them. You can find it all here in one location. And then the third thing would be our suppliers. So we try to give also all the suppliers that provide these solutions here a place. So you can read about their stories. Why do they do this? How did they come to this? That you can find more information about their products, like how did they produce it, etc. You can find all of this here on this website. And and this catalog is available in English and in Thai, so anyone can access it, and there should be no language barrier to accessing. So I really encourage you to having a look. Feel free to provide us feedback so we can further develop it and. So now this would be already the major part of the presentation. So now we'll just briefly showcase the partners that we worked with for this catalog that basically supported us to even making it happen. And also at the end, just briefly thanking you attending the session, and also having a small call to action. So if you are really interested in circular economy, you want to collaborate on it, make Thailand more, or basically putting Thailand on the map for circular economy, building a circular economy ecosystem, please feel free to reach out to us. I really encourage that, because we want to further work in this field on different projects and really build circular economy in Thailand as a topic.
Thanks, JJ and Pete, for your presentation. So, to summarize, today we have learned new perspectives about the plastic products that can be reused many times and have a long lifespan, as well as Thailand's opportunity to increase GDP by reducing plastic waste, as well as greenhouse gas to save our planet. Hotel management, employees, and customers can do a lot towards single-use plastic prevention, as well as creating a new business opportunity in the blue oceans. This is the end of our session. We would like to thank our partners, especially the Phuket Hotel Association, for organizing this important event. We look forward to our cooperation and hope to see you all again soon. Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you very much, all of you, for the support in this, for your expertise, and for showing the way for how we're going to get to plastic free, or at least reduce that plastic in Phuket and then beyond. We hope that this lesson will be able to then come back and tell a great story next year for how it can be replicated across the world in other destinations like Phuket. Thank you very much and have a good day.